And we are live, Toronto Stevie live. Well, it's the end of an era last night. In Your Head Wrestling Radio with Jackie Jones. Jack has decided to retire the moniker, and we had quite the last show under the name Jackie Jones. Check it out on In Your Head Wrestling Radio on YouTube. Um, Great show. Very first appearance by the Prez. Glad that you could come on the show. But this is Toronto Stevie Live, the Raw Report, plus some Elimination Chamber thoughts and some thoughts on going forward. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think with some comments. And let's get into it, because I don't know. So, first of all, Elimination Chamber, February the 28th, came from Chicago. And this was CM Punk's WWE return to Chicago. You know, he had been made appearances with AEW, multiple appearances actually. But we started off with the Women's Elimination Chamber match. It was Alexa Bliss versus Asuka versus Raquel Rodriguez versus Rhea Ripley versus Kiana James versus Tiffany Stratton. This one, they went with the crowd favorite. Some fantastic back and forth. Raquel Rodriguez got a lot of shine on this one. Throwing people around. But I think she was the last person to enter, or was it Kenny? She eliminated, actually, she did a 2-for-1. Did a Tiana bomb on Asuka, dropped her on Kiana James, and pinned both of them at the same time. Great visual, great shine for Raquel Rodriguez, but then Raquel got eliminated. I think it was the prettiest moonsault ever by Tiffany. And but eventually it was down to Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton. Rhea Ripley hits the Riptide and wins the match. So she gets the opportunity to face Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. This one, I guess it certainly looks like Rhea is headed to SmackDown. I fully expect her to win the Women's World title, or the WWE title, I think, yes. It certainly looks like it. I mean, it would certainly shock me if Jade Cargill beat Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. But next up was the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. Becky Lynch defending the title against AJ Lee, with the referee being Jessica Carr. Figuring into this match was the heat between Jessica Carr and Becky Lynch. And at one point, Becky tried to expose the turnbuckle and throw AJ into it, but Jessica Carr would not allow it. That basically allowed for AJ Lee to get the Black Widow submission hold on Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch once again tapped out. So the winner of the match and the new Women's Intercontinental Champion was AJ Lee, and of course Becky was shocked by this. First singles match for AJ Lee in over a decade in WWE, actually probably ever in her career, because she was out for a long time, and now she is a champion. We had, right after this was the I think was it the opening of the crate. I think coming back from the commercial or break. Maybe it was before that. First of all, there was the World Heavyweight Championship match. CM Punk defending the title against Finn Balor. And it was Punk actually hitting the GTS and retaining the title, pinning Finn Balor. Um, yes, it was. And so you have AJ Lee came down to the ring after the match, and you have both of the champions, husband and wife champions, taking a bow in front of the Chicago crowd. Good feel good moment here for the local Chicago crowd, having the husband and wife champions. And then it was, I think, um, uh, the unveiling of the crate. They had the crate out. They opened it up, and inside of it was a coffin. Out came all of these dancers, and it was the reveal of Danhausen as the new arrival to WWE. As I was saying on In Your Head Wrestling Radio, it was a letdown for me. I was kind of disappointed. Jack did kind of point out that they wouldn't use a major signing to do this kind of reveal, and I kind of agree with him. In retrospect, Jack, you were absolutely right about this. They certainly wouldn't do that. But Danhausen, like I said on the show, Danhausen does have a ceiling. He's just maybe he could be used as a comedy character, much like R-Truth. So we'll see how this one goes. They did announce, the ring announcer did announce that the live crowd attendance was 19,346 people. Pretty good for a Chicago crowd. They may have inflated the number, I'm not sure. Coming back from the commercial break, the men's Elimination Chamber match. Trick Williams, LA Knight, Logan Paul, Randy Orton, Javon Evans, and Cody Rhodes. Now, they could have gone with the everybody probably thought that Cody Rhodes was going to win this match, but it was a surprise because this was a heavily booked finish of the Elimination Chamber match. You had the Masked Men making their appearance, and this time around, though, it was I think it was two masked men came out. The first one was again another nobody. I think it was Trick Williams got eliminated from the match, and he was out on, and the door didn't close. A second masked man came in, and I think it was he hit a curb stomp on Logan Paul, and then Cody Rhodes covered Logan Paul, eliminated Logan Paul from the match, and then the masked man took his mask off and revealed himself to be none other than Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins came back, and Paul Heyman just freaked out when he saw Seth Rollins. But nonetheless, Rollins just walked away, climbed over the barricade, and left. But the door was still open, and so Drew McIntyre came into the ring, and I think he smashed Cody Rhodes in the head with the championship belt, and Claymore kicked him, left Cody laying, and this allowed Randy Orton to hit the RKO, pin Cody Rhodes 1, 2, 3, and win the match. So it sets up. So at first you thought that it set up a WrestleMania main event of Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton, but during the post show, the Elimination Chamber post show, SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis came out, and he basically went off on Drew McIntyre, saying he told him don't interfere in the match. So he basically said that this following week on SmackDown, there will be a championship match. It would be Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes. It certainly seems that something's going to happen here, whether it's going to be Cody winning the belt and defending against Randy Orton at WrestleMania. That would certainly be an intriguing main event. You know, the legacy members fighting each other. Some people have speculated it could be a multi-man match. It turn out to be one with Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and Jacob Fatu challenging Drew McIntyre. I'm kind of not in favor of that one. I think it should just be a one-on-one. I'd like to see that. But nonetheless, let's go to Monday Night Raw. Raw report from Indianapolis, Indiana. And you have Michael Cole and Corey Graves welcoming you to wrestling, welcome you to the show. And right away, you had Paul Heyman, Logan Paul, and Austin Theory, and they're all angry. And I think it was Paul Heyman was on the mic saying, "This is the point where someone is supposed to come out and say, 'Welcome to Monday Night Raw.' They're supposed to say live from Indianapolis, Indiana." He says, "I hate to piss on everyone's parade, but excuse me while I whip this out." And tonight he's talking about Seth freaking Rollins, and he goes off on Seth Rollins, calling him the biggest thief in the history of the business. The crowd starts singing the Seth Rollins theme song, and Paul Heyman says he hates that song, as well as he hates Seth Rollins. And he says Seth Rollins stole the credit for co-founding the Vision. He isn't worthy of that credit. He stole the credit for co-founding the Shield, but that's not my problem. The problem with Seth Rollins, he stole the Elimination Chamber and the main event of WrestleMania from Logan Paul. And so he says, "Seth Rollins, you steal oxygen from every human being on the face of the planet who is worth living." And he called Seth Rollins Mr. Lynch. So basically, he says that they're going to do something about it. And so the next time Seth Rollins is in a WWE ring, they're going to stomp his ass out. So it's basically a threat against Seth Rollins. And he says, "This is not a prediction or a spoiler. This is a personal guarantee from the Vision." So anyway, Austin Theory comes out. He takes the mic. He goes off. And he actually, maybe he might even have a new catchphrase called "This is my theory." I thought, well, you might as well go with it. Logan Paul takes the microphone and calls Seth Rollins a scumbag. And I think this brings out Adam Pearce, and he's got security, and he basically wants the Vision to get out of the ring. He says he doesn't want them to take the show hostage, even though they have for the past 10 minutes. He says that they're responsible for hurting Jey Uso, but that has never been confirmed. But Pierce says, you can plead guilty in advance for what you did, or for what you're going to do to Seth Rollins. But, I think Paul Heyman threw his microphone down, and Pierce basically says, "I've got to have a conversation with Seth Rollins, but I can't do it with the three of them in the ring." At which point, I think you had a couple of masked men jump the barricade, and they were chased out by Austin Theory and Logan Paul, and that basically left Paul Heyman in the ring by himself when a third masked man jumped into the ring, took off his mask, and it was Seth Rollins. And this time I was surprised at this, but this whole segment ended with Seth Rollins giving Paul Heyman a curb stomp and leaving him laying. Paul Heyman was unconscious and left laying in the middle of the ring. So it certainly seems like they're trying to make Seth Rollins a babyface again. It's really hard because Seth is so easily hateable, but they're trying hard. Coming back from the commercial break, Paul Heyman was bleeding actually from the nose. He actually suffered a bloody nose from that curb stomp. Visual looked pretty devastating, but he was put into an ambulance, and but I think it was Jimmy Uso showed up to attack Austin Theory, and LA Knight was revealed as driving the ambulance, and he drove off with Paul Heyman in the back of the ambulance. And finally, I'm sure it was like about 20 minutes at least into the show, we finally had our first wrestling match of the night. After the commercial break, it was the ring general Gunther versus Dragon Lee. And this one, Dragon Lee has been trying to get revenge on Gunther for ending AJ Styles' career. But you had a couple of hope spots for Dragon Lee, like he could have won the match by countout, but Gunther kept coming back into the ring. He finally ripped off Dragon Lee's mask and applied the sleeper hold, so you didn't actually see what Dragon Lee looked like. But still, he got the submission hold. Dragon Lee submitted to the sleeper hold, and Gunther won the match. Coming back from the commercial break, there was go backstage, and Asuka is yelling at Kairi Sane about losing at the Elimination Chamber. This brought out AJ Lee, and she starts talking to Kairi Sane, but Asuka just yells out for Kairi Sane. And coming back from the commercial break, they announced the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony Friday, April the 17th. Current inductees are Stephanie McMahon, AJ Styles, and the newest announcement, long time, been waiting a long time for these two guys to be announced. I've actually met them. Axe and Smash of Demolition, Bill Eadie and Barry Darsow are going into the Hall of Fame. In my opinion, it's about time. I met Axe and Smash, got a picture of them with them. Fantastic. I'm really glad. So AJ comes down to the ring. AJ Lee comes down to the ring, and they showed her winning the belt at Elimination Chamber. She gets in the ring on the microphone. She says, "I don't exactly know how I got here." She said she came back to the WBE. It says, purely to snatch the hair off Becky Lynch's pretty little head, and somehow she managed to snatch the title. I'm sure somebody wrote that for her. Anyway, she gets a "You deserve it" chant, and although she does put over AJ Lee as being the best in the best, but mentions that she beat her and won the title. And she says she proved to herself that she's championship material. But now that Becky Boo Boo is behind her, WrestleMania is in front of her, and AJ doesn't want to wait. So she says that she's going to be a fighting champion. And it's been 12 long years since she was a champion. She's not going to waste time. So she basically, I guess she wants a challenger, put out a challenge for WrestleMania to defend the Women's Intercontinental title. We get it earlier today's segment with El Grande de Americano, and you could hear clearly they're not trying to hide the fact that Chad Gable is under the mask of the original El Grande Americano. Because when he's talking, he's you can tell. I mean, you recognize the voice. It's Chad Gable's voice. Coming back from the commercial break, and they announced that WWE World returns to Las Vegas April 16th to the 20th. There's a Liv Morgan vignette on Stephanie Vaquer. And finally, we get the second, I guess this must be another match. Again, a long interval. The original El Grande Americano versus Rayo Americano, with the other Americanos at ringside. But El Grande Americano hits the German suplex for the win and wins the match. Coming back from the commercial break, backstage segment with the Judgment Day. Finn Balor, he lost at Elimination Chamber, but he basically says that I guess he says that Dominic Mysterio, who has a title match later on, should do it by himself, and this factors into the match later on. We get so at ringside, we get back into the ring. Rusev is there, and he says, "I know Obafemi is backstage, and they both want to fight. So how about right now?" So Obafemi comes out, and he comes into the ring, and he takes off his shirt, and there's a brief interaction. I think Rusev got a kick in, but Obafemi took it and then sent Rusev packing to ringside. Rusev just shouts at Obafemi as he's going back up the aisleway. So it certainly looks like maybe this is a Raw match for next week. I think it is. I think later on they announced that next week on Raw, it's going to be Obafemi versus Rusev. That should be a hard-hitting match. We get a backstage segment with Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Basically that they're talking about challenging AJ Lee for the Intercontinental title. And next up, after the commercial break, we get Jimmy Uso versus Austin Theory. Yet another disqualification loss for Austin Theory in a singles match. I know this must be the third or fourth time that Austin Theory has lost a match by disqualification. This time it was Logan Paul getting in the ring, attacking Jimmy Uso and causing the disqualification. Can you sense a pattern here? But that's the case. About the fourth time that Austin Theory has lost a match by disqualification. They double team Jimmy Uso when main event Jey Uso makes his return. The tag team is reunited. They get in the ring. And I think Jey had crutches, and they used the crutches on the heels to beat them up. And the Usos stood tall in the ring to end the segment. Coming back from I guess there was a backstage segment with Adam Pearce and Danhausen. And Danhausen. So Danhausen says, he debuted the thunderous applause and cheers. Well, no, you didn't. People were in the arena in Chicago were booing you. He says that he has some Demandhausens. He wants a blimp, a Hall of Fame induction for this year, a personal assistant, a personal camera boy, a Triple H photograph, and his face on his trunks. He gives Pierce a piece of paper that's soggy and basically says it fell in the toilet. So Pierce was understandably disgusted. And I guess if you're a hardcore wrestling fan, you'd be understandably disgusted too. The Judgment Day come by. There's a brief interaction with Danhausen, and Danhausen basically puts a curse on Dominic Mysterio ahead of his title match. And I guess maybe this factored in. I don't know. Coming back from the commercial break, a woman named Jackie is talking to Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley puts over her title match against Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship. She said, it's been a whirlwind few days. She lost the tag team titles on SmackDown, and then she won the Elimination Chamber match. but she thanks Io Sky for the tag team, but it's on to WrestleMania, and promises to win the title. And she's leaving. She'll be leaving the ring as the new World Women's Champion. And so they do promote next week on Raw. It will be a number one contenders match, a gauntlet match to determine who will be the number one contender for the Women's Intercontinental title. The matchup will be Raquel Rodriguez, Asuka, Ivy Nile, Io Sky, Bayley, and Lyra Valkyria. And Obafemi will take on Rusev. So 2 matches announced for next week. Should be for the number one contender against AJ Lee. Well, let's see who's going to win this match. Well, I'm going to pick Raquel Rodriguez. I say they should probably give her the shine. They've been giving her the shine recently, so she should probably win this match. Obafemi should have a good match against Rusev and win that one. I really think it should be Obafemi answering Brock Lesnar's challenge at WrestleMania, so we'll see how that goes. So we get into the Intercontinental Championship match, Men's Intercontinental Championship match. Dirty Dominic Mysterio defending the title against Penta El Cerro Viejo. And despite, I think it was JD McDonough, at one point, Dominic asked JD to go get the hammer, and so he could use it as a weapon, but Finn Balor stopped him and said, no, he's got to do this by himself. And I guess this allowed Penta to hit the Mexican Destroyer on Dominic, pin him 1, 2, 3. So Penta wins his first title, the Intercontinental title. Good match. But now Dirty Dom only has his AAA Mega title. He's no longer a double champion. So coming back for the commercial break, the main event segment was Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Roman Reigns took his own sweet time coming down to the ring, and almost immediately CM Punk came down to the ring, and this was an entertaining main event segment. CM Punk gets in the ring. They both acknowledge the crowd. So one thing throughout this, I've noticed the past couple of times that Roman Reigns has been on television, is he calls CM Punk by his real name. He repeatedly addresses him as Phil, because CM Punk's real name is Phil Brooks. But so Roman Reigns asks him, "Did my tweet hurt your feelings, Phil?" But Punk says, Roman's tweets, it didn't hurt my feelings. I don't get mad and hold grudges. But he says, Roman, your tweets were accurate because he is tired. He says, it's a good thing I've got these bags under my eyes, though, because for 7 weeks I'm gonna have to carry your bullshit all the way to WrestleMania. And they actually allowed the word bullshit on television. So then CM Punk does the "It's great to be alive in Indianapolis on a Monday night" line. He says they're on the road to WrestleMania, and the first stop is Indianapolis. He says he and Indianapolis have history. He says this is where the Shield debut, and Punk brought Reigns to the dance. But Reigns says, but Reigns basically says, no, I brought the other two, not him. And Punk acknowledges he didn't pick Reigns, which is true, because if you a little history in CM Punk's DVD, he says he had said that his idea for the Shield was Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Chris Hero. But Instead, they chose Roman Reigns to be the third member of the Shield. So he says they're going to be headlining the main event at WrestleMania. If you ask Indianapolis, Punk says he's already won. The last time they were face to face in the ring, Roman Reigns told him that he hated him. And Punk, I think Punk called him an emotional lady. He says that CM Punk basically says, well, I guess I must be getting under your skin. But your skin must be translucent because I can see right through you. It's got to be somebody's scripted line. Reigns comes back, says, yeah, I do hate you. But Phil, this is what you're missing. If you didn't have the title, I'd be indifferent to you. You wouldn't exist on my radar. They brought you back to entertain 30 to 40-year-old virgins. They brought you back to sell t-shirts, draw a house in Chicago. They didn't bring you back to be champion. That's too much responsibility for you. That's above your pay grade. They can't trust you, Phil. You're a liar, and you've lied to all the people. Punk, you can lie about loving all the tours, about enjoying hanging out with my cousins. But still, he says, you're not CM Punk. You're just a punk and a bitch. So at WrestleMania, the backup plan ends. Is when I win the title, I'm going to put you onto one of those John Cena retirement tours. So you should make as much money as you can, because I'll send you to NXT so you can teach the next generation how to do it. So you can send him up to the tribal chief and he'll smash them all. So yeah, he's going to send Punk into retirement so he can train people in NXT. Reigns goes to walk away and leave the ring, but Punk grabs him and turns him around, and he gets the final word in. He says, you're walking away. You just said a bunch of shit, and we've got to cover it all. So he says, I wonder who we is. Do you have some extra Samoan goblins? Because you're all alone. There's no more Shield. There's no more wise men. I took your wise men away from you. I love moments like this because it illustrates your entire career. I'm the champ. You're in the main event of WrestleMania, not just because you won the Royal Rumble, but because I'm the main event. He says, we're on Netflix. I run things. Yes, I'm in the locker room hanging out with your cousins because you're all alone. You can't get things done. And you're here by yourself. Yes, you hate me. You can hate me all you want. But I don't care. I don't care if you love me. He says, I won't let you disrespect me. You think you're going to retire me? No. And he makes a Chris Jericho reference. He says, you just made the list. And you went from getting beaten at WrestleMania. You went from getting beaten at WrestleMania. Well, now I'm going to bury you, and then you won't be alone anymore because I'm going to bury you right next to your father. And that was quite the line that CM Punk gave to close off the Monday Night Raw. The Barry segment, or the Barry line on Roman Reigns. So when called upon, CM Punk really does know how to deliver a promo to hype the WrestleMania main event. So I'm really looking forward to this. Yes, CM Punk has had his WrestleMania main event on night one of WrestleMania, but now I think he's going to get a WrestleMania main event on night two of WrestleMania. And in my opinion, I'm a big, huge CM Punk fan, so I really hope he beats Roman Reigns. I don't want Roman to win the title at WrestleMania. I think Punk should get the win. I'm really enjoying Punk as champion, but let me know what you think in the comments. This was a lot of fun. This was certainly, I'll tell you, this was certainly a much better Monday Night Raw than last week. Yes, last week was AJ Styles' appreciation night, and really that was the only positive thing about last week's Raw. I'm sorry, I tried to do a Raw report, but I got interrupted, so I had to delete the whole thing. But as far as last week's Raw, yes, it was a great emotional speech by AJ Styles, giving him the shine at the end of the show, taking off his gloves and leaving them in the ring. And with The Undertaker basically coming down and announcing that he was going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame after 10 years with WWE, and then prior to that with TNA. So this is going to be a great Hall of Fame induction. It kind of makes me wonder who is going to induct AJ Styles into the Hall of Fame, whether it be somebody from TNA or somebody from WWE. I was kind of thinking about that. And the first name that pops in would probably be Kurt Angle, since he's been in both WWE and TNA. Kurt Angle would be a good choice. The second one would be Christopher Daniels, but I'm not sure if Christopher Daniels is probably still under contract to AEW, that he might not be available, and certainly neither would Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe would also be another good choice, but he's definitely under contract to AEW. So that's the Raw report. Let me know what you think. Going forward, last night, Jackie Jones retired. He retired the name Jackie Jones. He's now Nasty Neil. So In Your Head Wrestling Radio, Tuesday nights, he's going to try and go back to where it was from 2005 onward. A lot of interviews. I don't know how this show is going to go. We'll see starting next week. But if Raw reports, I guess, are no longer a part of the show, I'm not really sure. He never said one way or another about this. But nonetheless, I will be here to give you my Raw reports as much as I can, some SmackDown summaries, some PLE reviews as well on my YouTube channel. I'll post it on the In Your Head Facebook page and keep you up to date. So let me know. Like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I am out of here. Good night, everybody.